welcome back to Pajama Crafts, where I do crafts in my pajamas. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Sarah, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and hanging out with me today. I have a lot of 4th of July patriotic DIY decor inspiration for you guys in this video. These are all old DIYs that I just threw together for you for some early inspiration, and then I will have new DIYs coming soon for 4th of July or just patriotic Americana, whatever you want to call it. So for this first DIY, I have a Dollar Tree frame. I just took out the inside and it was already black, but I wanted it to be more matte, so I just went over it with my Ink Waverly chalk paint. And then I have this old songbook that I found at the thrift shop, and sometimes I tear up the paper and use it for shabby chic projects, but there are a few songs in there that I just wanted to save and kind of frame. So this one is the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and all I did was cover the cardboard part of the frame insert thingy and I just put some brown craft paper on there with a glue stick, and then I just glued down my paper as well and wrapped a little twine around the top of the frame, and that's all I did for this one. I think it's very simple and I like the neutral look of it. You could leave out the glass if you don't like the glare, but I did go ahead and put that back in there so that that page would be protected. And I do have several neutral decor ideas in this video, so um, that's super fun for if you like to leave patriotic DIYs up all year round, but you don't want just red, white, and blue everywhere in your house. I mean, I kind of like both. I do like to leave some of my patriotic decor up all year round, but I like it to be a little bit more neutral if I do that. And then some people just don't like to decorate for the 4th of July at all because of those bright colors. So this is awesome even for the actual 4th of July if you want to just do neutral stuff. I think some of these are really fun. So I have this old frame or what canvas from Michael's, I believe, or it might have even been Walmart. This I got years and years ago. This is one of my first DIYs I ever did. And I didn't like it anymore. It was not my style whatsoever. And so I just went ahead and ripped it apart and did a reversed canvas on it. I did go ahead and mix some gray paint and water to make kind of a stain, and it really made it nice and weathered. And then because of some of the glue on this wood, it just made it look extra old and weathered and distressed, not perfect at all, which I really, really liked. And I just wiped it off with a paper towel and let it dry. And then I did take some distress ink. I got this from Hobby Lobby years ago, and I just used it on fabric and things like that. Super quick. You could also do like coffee or tea staining, but this is just a really fast way to do it. And then I made this contact paper stencil from Dollar Tree contact paper with my Cricut. And I use Walmart contact paper now instead of Dollar Tree just because it does leave kind of a sticky residue on some of my projects, which I don't like. Um, but it was fine on this fabric. It didn't leave anything. But I will try to link all of the SVG files from this video in the description in case you guys want to use any of these designs in your own DIYs. But I just went ahead and stippled on some more of that gray paint and peeled that stencil off when it was dry, weeded it out, and then it was done. This is probably one of my favorite patriotic DIYs I've ever done. It looks so rustic and just so good in my opinion. I really love it. You'll have to let me know down below what DIY from this video is your favorite. I know it's another long one, but I really appreciate everyone who stays and watches till the end. You guys are the best, and I just really appreciate all of my subscribers. Anyway, on to the third DIY. This is another neutral one. I just had these pieces of scrap wood on hand. You can get scrap wood from Home Depot. A lot of times they have just a whole cart full of wood that they can't sell at regular price because it might be a little warped or it is a little distressed or just beat up, anything like that, which is perfect for rustic farmhouse decor. So I love to go get those. It's like a dollar something. You can get it for really inexpensive. So I just went ahead and did another stencil with my Cricut. And you could just use regular stencils too. I just have a Cricut, so I'm going to use it. It was gifted to me by my husband for Christmas a couple years ago, and I absolutely love using it. But you definitely don't need one at all to do these projects. You can use regular stencils. You can get all kinds of fonts everywhere. Walmart, Dollar Tree, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Amazon, and it just takes a little bit of practice to get really good at stenciling. So I like to use a flat foam brush and just stipple the paint on, which basically means you're just bouncing it up and down with a tiny bit of paint on your brush so that it doesn't bleed through. You don't want to go back and forth with your strokes because that's what's going to make it bleed. So you can peel it off while it's still wet if you want to. I just don't like to very often unless I'm really in a pinch or in a real big hurry because then you risk smearing the paint. And so I usually just wait for it to dry completely and then take it off and it's usually fine. So once I was all finished with this one, obviously I just removed the stencil and weeded it out and I put it together with some scrap pieces of wood. You can use wood glue, you can use staples, brad nails, whatever you like to hold your signs together. There are some really easy options out there. A lot of times I just use paint stir sticks, cut them down to the size that I need them, and use that on the back to hold everything together. It usually comes out really nicely. You can see the purple paint on one of these pieces of wood, and that just means that it was like the 75% off from Home Depot. So it's really cheap, but it still made a nice rustic farmhouse sign. And they will cut it down for you too, so you don't even have to worry about if you have a power saw or not, or if you don't want to saw it by hand. Just ask them to cut it down for you, and they'll do the exact measurements that you want. It's all free for them to cut it for you, and then you just pay for the one piece of wood. A big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes in photography, video, freelancing, and tons more. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, it's the perfect learning environment with no ads to break your focus, and they are always launching new premium classes to help you learn new skills and stay creative. Members get unlimited access to thousands of classes with video lessons, hands-on projects, and feedback from a community of millions. Lately, I've really been enjoying Laura Lieben's class on time management for creatives. One of the concepts taught in her class is that we all have the same number of hours in our day, and setting priorities and goals is key to success for anyone, especially creatives, which is super helpful for me. I highly recommend her class. Skillshare is less than $10 a month with an annual subscription, and the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of the premium membership so you can explore your creativity too. With that being said, let's jump back into the DIYs. So I found this banner at Dollar Tree a while back in the party section. It's really cute, but it does kind of fall apart a little bit, or like has little rivets, and those fell out very easily, but that's okay. I just took them out and used the holes that were already there, and I think it still looked really cute. So I just went ahead and made another stencil with my Cricut. You could even just draw these on by hand with like a paint marker or even a Sharpie. But since I do have my Cricut, I just went ahead and cut out some stars and put those on with some blue paint. This color is called Nautical from Folk Art. You're going to need a ton of paint on your brush for this stencil because burlap does absorb a lot of paint. So you will need to use quite a bit, but don't worry, it's not going to bleed or anything on you. It actually came out really nice and crisp. So then for the next part, I just used some washi tape to make some lines on my little pennants or whatever you call this, a banner, garland. Anyway, I just used some washi tape to make some lines on it. And then this is just a multi-surface paint that I had from Folk Art, and it was the cardinal red color. There's also a really good one from Waverly. I think it's called plaid. I think the color is plaid, but it's a really good rustic red that I like a lot too. So you don't need a fabric paint or anything for burlap. You can just use whatever. It's no big deal. At least that's what I do. So once I was completely done, I just pulled off the tape and strung my string through the little holes in the pennants. And I think this is a really cute, simple, rustic, patriotic banner. I definitely don't keep everything that I make, or my house would just be completely overwhelmed with stuff. But I did go ahead and keep this one because it is one of my favorite patriotic DIYs to hang up every year. So for this next DIY, I'm just repurposing an old Valentine's Day DIY that I did. This is just one of those little canvas things from Dollar Tree, and I did still have the like buffalo check or gingham or whatever that is on the side. And I just went ahead and painted over the whole entire thing with some ivory chalk paint from Waverly. And then I used my Cricut to make this little stencil. It says Old Glory, as you can see. And like I said, I will try to leave all of my SVGs linked down in the description, but I just wrote Old Glory and then added some stars to the side. If you look at this, the font actually is two separate cuts. So if you want it to look exactly like this, you're going to have to do two different cuts. But when I weld it all together, it just makes it into one solid font, if that makes sense. Like you can see here, and I'm happy with that as well. So I just go ahead and do that because I'm lazy and I don't want to cut it two times. Um, and I don't want to wait for it to dry and then add another stencil on top and all of that. I'm not sure if that would even work for stenciling or if you're just cutting vinyl. Either way, I just go ahead and weld all of it. And so this is the outcome. So I just went ahead and cut that out, and then I added that to my sign, just stippled on some ink, Waverly chalk paint. If you're going to make contact paper stencils with your Cricut, just make sure that you're putting the blade pressure on a lighter setting so that it doesn't cut all the way through the whole sheet, because that will just be super annoying. What I do is a washi tape setting. Just set your machine to custom. Then when you're going to cut it, you can just go ahead and choose the washi tape setting and or whatever you want to use. Just make sure it's lighter, especially if your blade is super sharp. Um, and then that should work out perfectly for you. Next, I did go ahead and sand it a little bit. And since I was using some of the contact paper from Dollar Tree at this point, before I had learned to use the one from Walmart, I did have a little bit of a sticky residue on there. I think it still came out pretty cute because when I sanded it, it kind of made the dust from the sanding stick to the sign, which made it look extra distressed. But it's not that cute once all of the hairs and dirt start sticking to it, so and little fuzzy wuzzies from all around your house. So I would suggest using the Walmart one because then you won't have to worry about that at all. But I think it still did come out cute. It's a cute idea. Just make sure that you are not using the Walmart or not using the Dollar Tree contact paper. As you can see, I even tried to clean off that sticky residue with a wet paper towel and it just was not working. It came off a little bit, but I couldn't get all of it. And of course, if I put some kind of chemical in here or whatever, the paint is gonna run and smear and all that. So, it was a cheap little project anyway, and I think it's a nice idea, and maybe I'll do it again sometime with something else. But anyway, just for inspiration in here and learn from my mistakes not to use the Dollar Tree contact paper. I know some people say that they use the Dollar Tree contact paper and have not had a problem, but I would just steer clear of it if you can, because no point in risking it, putting all that hard work in, and then not being able to have a nice clean project. And also, Walmart contact paper is a better deal. You get much more on the roll for the price that you pay. Moving on, this DIY was super fun. So I had this sign from Michael's. I got it after Christmas, so it was like really, really cheap. And I just went ahead and scraped off the words on here, and I wasn't sure what I was gonna do. But once I scraped them off, it was just really scratched. I'm sure I could have taken them off a different way, but you live and you learn. So anyway, I just decided to cover it with a piece of scrap material that I had on hand. And again, I used that ink on there just to distress it a little bit. Then I made another stencil with my Cricut and went ahead and stippled on the paint, some of that blue and some of that red. If I remember correctly, last time I tried to share this in the original video that I posted this in, it wouldn't let me do this one. And that might be because I got some of the images from Google or something. Maybe I'm not allowed to share it. I'm not sure. If I can, I will share it. If not, it's pretty easy to make. I think I found just a circle of stars on Google and uploaded it. Um, and then I just went ahead and wrote USA in that same font that I was using before. Then I decided to take some little thumbtacks and I just cut off the pointy part with some wire cutters and hot glued those down to the corners. Be very careful because hot glue makes metals really hot and you can burn yourself. So just be super careful with that. I think this project turned out super cute and I did go ahead and keep it and I will be using it this summer because I think it turned out adorable. I do have little clips of Bree throughout this video that were in the old videos, and I thought they were super adorable, so I just left them in. Skip over them if you want to the next DIYs. But sometimes I just forget how little she was, and it's super adorable to see those videos again, those little clips. At your car? There you go. Okay, guys. Night night. Yeah. You're silly. So moving on to this next DIY, I had this scrap material from Hobby Lobby. There's Koi's banana. But I had this scrap material from Hobby Lobby, and Koi was home this day, so he was helping me make it, or mainly just watching, but I think he helped a little bit. But anyway, I just went ahead and cut two pieces the same size. I am not a professional at sewing or anything, but I do have a sewing machine that my grandma gave me when I was just a little kid. And so I did go ahead and use that for this. I mean, my mom had me like practice sewing lines and things like that when I was little. So I do know like a little bit of how to use the sewing machine, but I did have to call her and ask her again, how the heck do I do the bobbin thing or whatever that thing is called, and she literally walked me through it over the phone without even like we weren't even FaceTiming. I don't know how she did it, but she explained to me over the phone how to do it, and that's pretty complicated. So shout out to my mom, she's awesome. Now I wanted to sew this little patch to the front of my bag, and I just went ahead and did like a very simple stitch on the front. I didn't make it look perfect or anything like that. I wanted it to look super rustic and distressed. So I did go ahead and just do that part by hand, just a really simple stitch around the edge. And Koi was just doing some homework to the side, it looks like. But then I did go ahead and sew around the edges of my bag with my sewing machine, and I just left a raw hem at the top because I thought that looked cute and rustic. After the bag was all sewn together, I just made a huge pot of coffee and dunked it in there, and I did leave it to soak for quite a while. I think I could have left it a lot longer because it did not hold the color very well. I did throw it in the wash afterwards. I just rinsed it. I don't know exactly how you're supposed to do it. Let me know down in the comments if you've done it before and had good success. It did make it a little bit darker, but once I rinsed it, it was almost all gone. Maybe it's because I did it too soon afterwards. I don't remember if I let it dry first or not. But either way, you can still see it did add a little bit of dinginess to it, which I really liked. And then I just cut some holes near the top and used some nautical rope from Dollar Tree to just make some little handles at the top. I wanted the knots to be poking out, so that's why I cut the holes instead of just hot gluing it in there. You don't need to be able to sew to do this project whatsoever. You can use hot glue on the whole entire thing if you want to. Um, Especially if you're not really going to be using it. I think I might have gave this away in a giveaway or something. I don't remember what happened to it, but I think it's really cute to like just put flowers in or something, hang it on a hook. I mean, you could use it for like a grocery bag or something, I guess, if you want. And I did have some fabric paint on hand from Arteza, so that's just what I used on this one. I don't think you have to use fabric paint if you don't want to, but I just used a brown color because I wanted it to look pretty rustic. So I just went ahead and stippled that all over and peeled that off, and I think it turned out pretty adorable. And then since I did make it say USA, I just threw some wheat in there that Zach's mom had given to me. She's always given me random stuff for crafts. I really appreciate that. And I just went ahead and threw some of that in there because it just feels patriotic, like amber waves of grain. And so I just threw some of that in there and hung it on a hook, and I think it looks super adorable. Mhm. Hiding behind the tree. You want to wash hands?
Okay.
We just did.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, girl, we just washed your hands. You want to wash them again? You don't need to wash them again. We just washed them. Oh, girl. Okay, so for this next DIY, I went ahead and took one of these small dangly signs from Dollar Tree. I just tore it all apart and then I just sand it down to make sure that it's as smooth as possible. And then I just used like a utility knife to score these. I didn't really care if it was exactly perfectly the same size or anything, but I just went ahead and scored it. And I will tell you there's a little bit easier way to do this that I figured out. Like once you score it, you can just bend it and then cut it with scissors the rest of the way because it's really just the paper holding it together after that. But what I did was just cut off all the edges so that scallop part was gone, and then I cut the tops at a diagonal so it would look like little tags. And then I did use my drill to make a hole in it at the top, and I just sanded everything so the edges would be very smooth. Next, I'm just using that plaid color from Waverly for one. I used a plaster for the middle one, and then that nautical color from Folk Art for the last one. Then I just used my sandpaper again to distress them a little bit. I think I took them outside and actually used my electric sander to make them super, super distressed. And then this is before I had my Cricut, so I just made those stars by hand. And then I'm taking a Walmart stencil and writing USA. Now, there's a few different ways that you can stencil on your letters. You can do just the way I was doing there by stippling it on over top, or you could use a paint marker to go around the edges and then just color it in, depending on what color you want to use, or just if you don't want to get your stencil dirty or you're worried about bleeding, you can definitely use a paint marker instead. Especially if what you're stenciling is really small, it's easy to just use a paint marker. So once I was completely finished painting everything on, I did distress it a little bit more because on this channel we can never have enough distressing. And then lastly, I just took some twine and made some loops at the top, and that was it for these, and I think they turned out really, really cute. Now you could use these for a tiered tray. I like to make them for all different seasons and hang them by where we hang our keys because they're small, and I just feel like it adds like more of a little decorative touch. And I really like to do that with ours because I don't really have too many tiered trays in my house. I just have no extra counter or table space to set anything that's not going to get knocked over or destroyed by a toddler. And let's be honest, could also be the teenager. For this next DIY, I have these little boxes from Dollar Tree. They're not exactly boxes, they're like a picture, but they're made from chipboard and they're that box shape. I tried to remove the flower on the first one, but it was on there so hard that I could not get it off without damaging the surface. So I just went ahead and painted over all three of them because I was going to put the stars on top anyway, and I just made sure that I put the stars over that flower spot. I would suggest painting with black or something over it first just to make it completely dark because then it would be easier to put the new color over top because I had to do about 1,000 coats of red. Now for the stars, I had this other dangly sign from Dollar Tree, or a little piece of decor. I don't know if you would call this a sign, but it was very easy to just peel off the burlap hanger from the back, and it did leave a little, or it did kind of pull off a little bit, you can see, but you can just go ahead and sand that down a little bit if you want to. But since I wrapped the twine around it at the end, you really didn't notice that at all anyway. Um, you could even do like scrapbook paper or anything over these as well. And then if you're worried about all that glitter on the back, just go ahead and paint some Mod Podge over it, or you can cover it with some craft paper or anything like that. But it's much easier to paint the back part than over glitter. But if you do want to paint over glitter, it does kind of give it a cool rustic texture. So all up to you and the look that you're going for. Then I did go ahead and distress these. This time I used some of that ink Waverly chalk paint. Then I just hot glued down the stars on top of those raised parts on the boxes and wrapped some twine around these, and they were completely finished. Moving on, I had these little shadow boxes from Dollar Tree, and I just went ahead and pulled out the middle part. It's pretty easy to rip that thing off. Now, I kind of wanted the middle part to be square. I don't know, the round part just didn't seem like it went with what I was trying to go for. So I just went ahead and used these square pieces that I had from some previous projects. After painting the bases red, white, and blue, I went ahead and painted two of the squares white and one of them black just because I thought it would look better on the white one than having white on white. It would just stand out a little bit better. And then I wrote USA. This stencil is from Michael's. I got it years and years ago, so I don't know if they still have it, but you can find similar fonts. Next, I just distressed my pieces with the opposite color paint. So for the black one, I used the white to distress, and then for the white ones, I used the black to distress. And once I was all finished and had it the way that I liked it, I went ahead and hot glued those back into the middle of my signs, and that was all I did for this one. I think it turned out really cute as well. For this next DIY, I'm using this star from Dollar Tree. I just went ahead and flipped it over to the back, and then I used a Posca paint pen to make some lines and just a piece of scrap wood with some dangerous nails sticking out of it, apparently. I'm not sure why I did this the hard way, but I would suggest just throwing some painter's tape on here, making it easy for yourself and just painting the lines that way. Maybe I was out, I'm not sure, but that would be a lot easier. So I just went ahead and made my design. I hot glued on a bunch of little stars that I had on hand. They're little wooden ones. I think they were given to me. They were probably from Oriental Trading Company when I used to work there. Sometimes my manager would give me craft stuff. Um, but I'm sure you can find little ones like this on Amazon as well. But I just went ahead and hot glued a bunch of them all over, no rhyme or reason, just everywhere until I thought it looked good. And then I just distressed it a little bit and added the hanger back on, and I think it turned out really cute. This is still one of my favorites. For this next one, I have this heart patriotic sign from Dollar Tree. I just removed the cutout in the middle and painted the whole heart outside part with the nautical color from Folk Art. And I did go ahead and add stars and distress them later after this video. I just wasn't happy with the plain look of it. I just wanted to add a little bit more, and I think it turned out really pretty, but I didn't have it in this video, but just wanted to let you guys know that sometimes I'm not happy with the way my projects turn out. I did go ahead and dry brush a little bit on the outside of the heart, just to give it more of a distressed look like I like. Once I was finished painting the outside, I just attached everything back together, added another hanger, and then I decided to add a big old bow to the top of this with some ribbon. I believe this was from Hobby Lobby from like a long time ago that I just had on hand, and I just looped it over and tied it together. Then I went ahead and dovetailed the ends and hot glued it down. That's all I did for this one. Like I said, I did add some white stars later to the outside part, just all over it, and then distressed it a bunch. And I thought that really added a lot to the little project. So next we have some patriotic buckets, or you could always use these for planters. I think that would be so cute, like on your front porch or something. So these first two cans were just from little grow kits from Target. And once the season was over, I just went ahead and used them for a project instead of throwing them away. So I just cut out a bunch of stars with my Cricut and put them all over this bucket and painted over them with the blue. And then I just went ahead and peeled the stars right off and it left the little design underneath. I did go ahead and paint the inside too, just so you wouldn't notice any crazy, like, stark difference. Um, you could even use just regular star stickers you can find out the store. It's really easy to find star stickers. But since I do have my Cricut, I just use some contact paper and cut those out. And then I do go ahead and distress this a little bit because I cannot help myself. For the next can, I just used some washi tape to make stripes along so it would look kind of like a flag when you put them together. I think it turned out really, really cute. Since it is rounded and tapered, or like, going in at the bottom, the tape does not go on perfectly. So I just made sure to keep adjusting it so that my lines were straight. And I just followed the lines that were already on the can. So that made it super easy. And I did have to do two coats on this, and I did not think about that before I took the tape off, before it was even dry. And then once it dried, I was like, oh my goodness, I need another coat on here. So then I had to reapply my tape. So don't make that mistake. Wait till it dries, and then you'll be able to see if you need to add more paint. Learn from my mistakes. Either way, even though it was extra work, it did end up turning out really, really cute. I distressed this one as well, of course, and I think these are super adorable. For this next one, I had this Dollar Tree planter. I think I just went ahead and ripped the handles off because one side, the handle was already falling off. And then I just used some sandpaper to scratch off those words. If you don't want to scratch the metal, if you want to paint right on it or something, you could always use like some acetone or something would probably work. And then I just went ahead and made a little flag on some burlap with my tape and star sticker, and I just hot glued that onto the front of the little planter, and then I just wrapped some twine around it, and that's all I did for this one, and I think it turned out really, really cute and rustic. For this next little bucket, it's another one that I got at Dollar Tree, just a different style. So I went ahead and used some more washi tape, just used the rim of the bucket to make sure that it was straight all the way around, and then used some more of that blue paint around the top edge. I'm sure I did 1 to 2 coats on the top. Like I said, let it dry. Don't make the same mistake as me and peel it off before it's dry, because sometimes it looks like it's opaque and it is not. So then I just made some more little star stencils with my Cricut and stippled on some white paint. So after the paint on the top was all dry, I just used some washi tape to make some stripes on my bucket. I do the red ones first, and then once that's all dry, I remove the tape and set it up again for the white stripes. I just did half the bucket on this video just for time's sake, and also where I'm going to be putting the bucket, you're not going to see the back part. So I know some people can't handle an unfinished project, but a lot of times I just go the lazy route if nobody's going to be seeing the back of it. I did go ahead and distress this one a little bit with some sandpaper, and I think it turned out really cute. Well, that's all I have for you for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more DIYs like these. If you made it this far in the video, leave your favorite fruit emoji down in the comments so I know you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for always supporting my channel. Don't forget, when I get to 20,000 subscribers, I am going to be doing a big giveaway, so make sure you stick around, share my videos if you think your friends and family might enjoy them too, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye! You're so funny. That's not trash. That's not trash. Okay. You go and follow Daddy and Goy.
Go
Daddy Goy.
But I can't do it with pocket Bible and basket. And this boy to eat, Uncle Josh. Okay, bye. Let's talk to Uncle Josh.
Sure. Bye-bye. Did you want to talk to anyone else, or are you all done?
I'm done.
Okay. You gonna push your stroller?
Debbie, you want to get me?
I gotta make dinner.
Okay, you can get me.
Okay, love you.
Okay, you can get me.
I can't get you. I have to make dinner.
Okay, you can get me. A
That's,
bigger one.
that's pretty cool, huh?
There we go. I made a plant.
You made a plant?
And now it's going to squish it together.
Smush it together?
Yeah. You want to squish it together?
Sure, I'll do it with you.